My friends, there comes a moment in life when you must stop begging life to treat you well and instead command it. Too long, men and women have been taught to plead with the universe, to ask timidly, as though wealth and success were reserved for the few. But the laws of spirit are not built on begging. They are built on authority. You are not a servant of lack. You are the heir of abundance. And until you rise and take your rightful place, the universe will wait. Today, I tell you, stop asking the universe for money. Stop whispering requests as if you are powerless. You are not a beggar. You are a commander. You must learn to speak as one who knows their divine inheritance and order money to appear, multiply, and remain. My friends, tonight I want you to understand something very profound. You have been taught, most of you, to go to the universe in the attitude of a beggar. You go asking, you go pleading, you go hoping, and yet nothing seems to change. You may pray night after night for money, for supply, for opportunities, but they do not come. And then you say to yourself, the law does not work for me. But I tell you, it does work. It works perfectly, but you are using it wrongly. When you ask, you confess lack. When you plead, you confess separation. And the law always mirrors back the state you occupy. So if you stand before the infinite with the attitude of one who does not have, you will continue not to have. You see, consciousness is the only reality. The state you occupy is the life you live. To ask is to dwell in the state of not yet. To command is to dwell in the state of already. Let me put it plainly. Asking is desire without possession. Command is desire, clothed in fulfillment. You must dare to assume the end, dare to feel what it would be like if money were already yours, if the account were already full, if the debts were already paid. You must claim it so fully that you no longer ask. You simply walk as the one who has. I remember a man who came to me, deeply troubled about his finances. He said, Neville, I have prayed for months, asking God to send me money. I have written affirmations. I have begged the heavens, still I have nothing. And I said to him, my dear friend, every prayer you send is a confession that you do not yet have. Stop asking and begin assuming. Begin commanding. Stand in the end. What does it mean to stand in the end? It means that instead of asking, will money come to me? You enter the feeling. Money is mine now. I am in possession. I live in abundance. You construct within yourself the scene that would be true if you already had the thing you desire. And you dwell in it, not for a moment, but until it takes root in your consciousness. This man listened and obeyed. He stopped praying as a beggar. Each night, he would go to sleep in the feeling that his debts were cleared, that his business was flourishing, that his hands were full. He lived in imagination, as though it were. Within a short time, circumstances arranged themselves, and the money came, so naturally, he could scarcely believe it had been withheld so long. Do you see? You are the operant power. The universe responds, but it responds to the state you occupy. You are not waiting for the universe. It is waiting for you to assume your rightful place. You are not here to ask life for favors. You are here to command it. Now let me be clear. By command, I do not mean arrogance. I do not mean shouting at the sky. Command is the quiet certainty of one who knows. It is the inner conviction that says, I am, I have, it is done. It is the voice of authority that comes not from pride, but from union with the soul. If you can accept that your imagination is God in action, then you will understand why asking is unnecessary. God does not ask. God declares. God speaks, and it is so. And if you and the Father are one, then you too must speak the word of authority. You too must command the money, the supply, the opportunity into being by dwelling in the state where it already exists. Let us take an example. Suppose you desire $10,000. The beggar asks, please, universe, Give me $10,000. And he waits, and he hopes, and he wonders. But the commander says, I already have $10,000. I am in possession of it now. He feels the relief. He feels the joy. He feels the freedom of already having. He imagines himself checking the account, seeing the balance, spending the money, living in the ease it brings. And because he assumes that state, life reflects it. It is never the words you speak outwardly that matter. It is the state you occupy inwardly. You could repeat the same affirmation 10,000 times and still live in lack. But the moment you assume the end, the moment you feel yourself in possession, everything changes. That is the command. Many of you are still afraid to command because you think it is too bold. You think it is presumptuous to speak to money as though it were your servant. But I tell you, money is your servant. Circumstance is your servant. The whole of creation is waiting to take the shape of your assumption. You are not subject to it. It is subject to you. You are not the beggar of life. You are the creator of life. So tonight, I want you to practice this. Take a desire you have, something specific, and instead of asking for it, enter the state where it is already fulfilled. Feel it so vividly that you no longer need to ask. Walk in that assumption. Let the feeling possess you so completely that you forget the old state. This is the command. When I speak of commanding money, I am not speaking of shouting words into the air. I am speaking of the invisible act of imagination. For imagination is the creative power of God within you. What you assume in imagination becomes fact. In the outer world, you do not beg imagination, you direct it. You order it. You hold it steady in the end, until the outer must conform. The outer world is nothing more than a shadow of the inner state. To change the shadow, you must change the substance, and the substance is your assumption. So if you wish to command wealth, command abundance, you must assume it within. You must live as the man who already has. Do not say someday I will be prosperous. Say I am prosperous now. Do not say one day I will have money. Say money belongs to me now. It comes in perfect ways. It comes in abundance, and it never fails. And then walk as though it were true. That walking, that feeling, that assuming, that is the command. You are told, ask and it shall be given. But I tell you, when you truly ask, you are not begging. To ask in the true sense is to claim, to demand, to assume. It is to know that what you desire is already yours and to live in that knowing. That is why Scripture says, when you pray, believe that you have received, and it shall be yours. Notice, it does not say, believe that you will receive. It says, believe you have received. That is the command. So let us leave behind forever the weak posture of begging. Let us put away the thought that we are at the mercy of chance. You are not at the mercy of anything. You are the mercy. You are the law. You are the authority. The state you occupy commands the world to take shape around you. Therefore, occupy the state of wealth. Occupy the state of abundance. Walk in the end as though it were already done, and watch as the outer world cannot help but reflect it back to you. Now let us go deeper. If you have grasped that asking keeps you in lack and commanding places you in possession, then the next question must be, how do I live as the one who commands? For it is not enough to say the words. Words are empty if the feeling is absent. Command is not in the lips. It is in the state. The state you occupy is your command. If you stand in the state of lack, no matter how many times you say, I am rich, you are still poor. But if you stand in the state of possession, even if you never utter a word, wealth will follow you. Because life is not moved by sound, it is moved by consciousness. So I ask you tonight, can you assume the state of wealth so completely that you forget what it was like to be without? Can you walk as one who already has the thing so that the world must conform? That is the great art of command. Consider this. If you were already in possession of the money you desire, how would you feel? Would you walk differently? Would you speak differently? Would you carry yourself with a certain lightness, a certain peace? Would you worry less? Would you plan differently? That is the feeling you must assume. It is not imagination for the sake of fantasy. It is imagination for the sake of law. For imagination creates reality. The world is nothing more than your imagination pushed out. So if you dare to assume that you already have the money, then life itself must obey. I tell you this not as theory, but as fact. Many years ago, when I had nothing, I began to live in imagination as though I were already supplied. I would walk down the street, not as a man waiting for fortune, but as a man who already had it. I carried myself in the dignity of one who possessed, and soon, without strain, the outer mirrored it back. The outer must always mirror the inner. There is no exception. So the only question is, which inner state are you commanding? Are you commanding lack, or are you commanding abundance? You do it not by words alone, but by assumption. Now some will say, but Neville, I tried to assume wealth, and still the bills came, still the lack appear. Yes, and they will continue to appear as long as you waver. For the law is exact. The moment you step back into the state of doubt, you undo the command. You cannot plant a seed tonight, dig it up tomorrow to see if it has sprouted, and expect a harvest. You must persist in the assumption until it hardens into fact. This is why persistence is the key to command. Not persistence in begging, but persistence in dwelling in the end. When you command, you remain there. You walk as though it is already yours, no matter what the outer says. The outer will try to shake you. It will show you empty pockets, unpaid bills, resistance, but if you remain in the inner conviction, the outer must yield. It has no choice. Let me give you another example. A woman desired a certain sum of money to free herself from obligation. She asked, and nothing came. Then she learned the law. She stopped asking. She began to assume. Each night, she would close her eyes and see herself writing the final check, feel the relief of freedom, hear the sound of her own laughter. She lived in that scene until it was more real than the lack before her. Within weeks, the money arrived through channels she never imagined. Did she beg? No, she commanded, by assuming the end. That is how the law works. Now I want you to see the difference between command and arrogance. Arrogance says, I am above life, I am greater than all. Command says, I am one with God, and therefore I move in authority. You are not separate from the source. You are the very expression of it. So to command is not pride, it is obedience. It is living in alignment with your true nature. Think of Scripture, thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee. Notice, it does not say, thou shalt beg for a thing. It says decree. Speak it as law. Assume it as fact. That is command. So tonight, I ask you to decree. Decree wealth. Decree abundance. Decree freedom. Not with your lips only, but with your whole being. Enter the end and dwell there. Do not look back. Do not measure by appearances. Appearances will lie. They will shout, you do not yet have it, but you answer back, it is done. That steadfastness is the true command. And I tell you, if you hold to it, the day will come when the outer bows. You will open the letter and the money will be there. You will check the account and the balance will you will walk into the opportunity and the door will open. And when it comes, it will feel so natural, you may even forget that you once lacked. That is the strangeness of the law. The miraculous feels natural. Do not think of money as something far away, something to be fed. Think of it as already here, waiting to be claimed. The ocean is full, and you are the vessel. The size of your vessel determines the supply you draw. A thimble draws a thimbleful. A bucket draws a bucketful. A barrel draws a barrel. The ocean does not say no. It only fills according to the measure you bring. Command enlarges your vessel. Asking shrinks it. So enlarge it tonight. Do not say, I hope to have enough to pay the bills. Say, I live in abundance beyond measure. Money flows in perfect ways, greater than I can imagine. then walk in that abundance, as though the ocean itself is pouring into your hands. Remember this: the universe does not argue, it does not reason, it only reflects. If you command wealth, it reflects wealth. If you command lack, it reflects lack. Life has no choice. It must take the shape of your assumption. That is the eternal law. So let us end where we began. Stop asking. Asking keeps you poor. Start commanding. Command places you in wealth. Do not ask as a beggar, stand as a son. Do not plead as though you are forgotten. Declare as though you are remembered. For you are remembered. You are the heir. You are the authority. Command the money to appear. Command the channels to open. Command the abundance to flow. And then live in the end as though it were already so. Hold to that state until the world itself must bow. For the world is nothing but your assumption, hardened into fact. And when it comes, do not marvel, do not say, "What a miracle." Say instead, "Of course, it could be no other way, for I commanded, and it is so." That, my friends, is how you stop asking and begin ordering. That is how you move from lack to abundance, from pleading to possession, from hope to certainty. That is the way of command.